Okay, we're learning the Sikha, the Hadran al Rambam from Tovim Mem Vav. We're holding at Sif Yud Gimel. The Iker Chelik of the Sikha, where the Rebbe explains the Hadran of the Rambam in Moshiach Mashiach, we finished last week. In the Hemshech of the Sikha, the Rebbe is going to explain what this is Negeya to our Aveda today. And here, the Rebbe will discuss a very amazing Inyan, B'Negeya to Limud Rambam. What's the Maila in learning Rambam? That's a unique level of Limud HaTorah that's be'ein arech to any other level of learning Torah. Mamash, a fascinating Inyan here, as we'll see. See if Yud Gimel. Page 257. V'hinei al pi ha'yidua shekol ha'inyanim de l'asad tluyin b'maseinu v'avedeseinu da'achshav. The Rebbe says in Tanya, all of the different levels of revelation, Lasad Lavai, are generated by the Aveda today. Shleima shegam the Bias Mashiach Gufa shelamayla mitikin ha'olam sheyumshach ba'olam. Oh, so this Inyan, this is what we learned about last week. The Rebbe made the point that there's Mashiach himself and Mashiach's arrival. And then there's how Mashiach will impact the world around us. That's a second stage. That's not the Iker of Mashiach. Mashiach himself is above his influence on the world. So this idea, Mashiach's arrival, before he changes the world. We learned last week, let's just repeat Bekitzer the point, that the Rebbe says that when the Rambam identifies the signs from Mashiach, he doesn't talk anything about what Mashiach will do for the world at large. Even though Mashiach, on the various stages of Mashiach, there's Cheskas Mashiach, there's Vadai Mashiach. In the various stages of Mashiach, he definitely will have influence on the world. But the Rambam doesn't mention any of that. He just says, mitzvahs, he's going to learn Torah, do mitzvahs, he'll be Yochel Kol Yisrael, Torah mitzvahs, then he'll build a base of Mikdash, Mekabetz Nitchei Yisrael. After all of that, and the Rambam adds, V'yisakin kol ha'olam kulai. He will bring a tikkun to the world as well. So what we learned is, the Rebbe explains that there's the inyan of who Mashiach himself is. Yechide sheben nefesh. Yechide is not something that is here to influence anything or anyone. Yechide is above everything. It's the essence of the Yid, the essence of the Eibishter. That's the essence of Mashiach. Then it will also have an influence on the world. That's a second inyan. So now at this point, Nifal, in order to make a proper preparation for Mashiach, world for Mashiach, we think about many different things that the Rebbe kocht in as well. All kinds of inyanim b'negeya to making the world a better place. Not only b'negeya to Yidden, Sheva mitzvahs b'nei noyach, and all kinds of things of acts of goodness and kindness to prepare the world to be a perfect and proper place the way it was intended to be. But here, the Rebbe will say that preparation for Mashiach that relates to the existence of the world is actually only step 2. Step 1 is to make a preparation for Mashiach himself. Mashiach himself is representing the essence of the Eibishter that has nothing to do with making the world a better place. What's the preparation for that? As we'll see, the conclusion over here will be to learn Rambam. Here you'll see the Rebbe will basically show how the takana of Limud Rambam is what accomplishes this point. Everything else, all the other miftzayim or inyanim that the Rebbe kochten b'negeya to develop, and even including Goyim, that's all preparing phase 2 of Mashiach. To prepare for Mashiach himself, that's in Torah, and specifically Limud Rambam. And here I'm telling you, after you're going to learn what the Rebbe says here in the Sikha, you're going to have a completely different appreciation of what this concept of learning Rambam means. Let's see. Now, Mashiach is not for another purpose. It's not leading to something else in order to change the world. Ela inyan la'atzmei. Mashiach is the purpose for itself. So move on mizeh, so therefore it's understood. Shigama aveda shal yad nifal etzamin the bias of Mashiach. So whatever aveda we have to do in order to bring Mashiach, hu eisek atayre lishma. So where does it start? It starts in Torah, and when one learns Torah completely lishma, not to accomplish anything outside Torah itself. Not because it's useful for something else. And when it means something else, the Rebbe says, well, we're not talking about someone that learns Torah because he wants to get honor or because he wants to get some kind of gain through the knowledge of Torah that he has. Even the purpose of when a person learns Torah for the purpose of knowing Allah Lamaisa, that's not the real ultimate limud Torah lishma. Kiyem l'shem Torah atzma. Rather, just to learn Torah on a level where you're learning Torah for the sake of the Torah itself. When you learn Torah, Torah is one with the Eibishter, and that's why you're learning Torah. Could you say that regarding the Eibishter's existence, that the Eibishter's existence exists based on or for the purpose of something else? Of course not. The Eibishter exists because he exists. So the Torah as well exists because it exists. And when therefore the attitude in learning Torah on the ultimate level is to learn Torah because it's Eibishter, nothing else. That's the preparation for Moshiach himself. And that's the word. So the Rebbe is going to explain how Limud Rambam accomplishes this. Just one more point. If you take a look in Order 40, the Rebbe says regarding the concept of learning Torah Lishma, there's even a greater point that we find. If you're learning Torah, even just, that seems to be the ultimate Lishma. What does Lishma mean? I'm doing it for the sake of fulfilling the mitzvah. I have no other ulterior motive at all. Not even because I laid this on my Shayasun is because you have to know how to put on your tefillin, so you have to learn Hilchas Tefillin. So it's not mamash for the sake of Torah itself. You could understand why that's not Lishma. But if you're learning Torah for the fulfillment of the mitzvah of Limudat Torah, so the Rebbe here says, Mikiv in Limudat Torah, hu emtzai b'chdei lekayim mitzvah. You're learning Torah to fulfill the mitzvah of learning Torah. Ein za mitzvah in the Lishma. It's not the ultimate Lishma. Even though, on one level, Torah is one of the Taryag mitzvahs. Learning Torah is one of the 613 mitzvahs, but there's also the concept of Torah that is separate of mitzvahs, above mitzvahs. Torah stands out separately, and when you learn Torah, it's for no purpose at all. Just connecting to the Torah is connecting to the Eibishter himself. That's the ultimate Lishma. Okay, now here the Rebbe begins the explanation. We'll start this week. We'll learn the next few weeks. The Rebbe explains.
That's the first step of Mashiach. Just Mashiach.
Yeah.
As
Mashiach himself. Just Mashiach himself.
No connection to anything. No
Correct.
To the world. No.
Correct. We learned Parichas the last few weeks about this. Yeah. Parichas Gedei. The Rebbe explains Yamid Melech. Mashiach is a king, and he's the real king. A real king is Mashiach Ma'amila Gavai is removed. He has nothing to do with anything or anyone. It's Yichidish B'Nefesh, and upon him. That's in Torah. This is the ultimate learning of Torah, and that's Limud Rambam. Yeah. What? Oh, he thought you were following us in the share in Brazil. Oh, you didn't follow. It was online.
I was playing.
Okay.
We're going to define what Torah Lishma is.
Yes, it's coming right here. The Rebbe will give us a very, very specific and elaborate definition of Torah Lishma. What this is all connected to is the Sefer of the Rambam himself, Mishnah Torah. It's the only Chibur, the only Sefer that is including in it all of Torah Shebal Peh. Everything, from the beginning till the end. When you learn all of Rambam, you have the knowledge of the entire Torah Shebal Peh. It's called Halachas V'Dinei Torah, all the Halachas and Dinim of Torah, including what's not relevant today. That's what you have in the Rambam that you don't have in the Shulchan Aruch. Now, so the Rebbe explains. If your point of learning Torah is in order to know the action of a mitzvah, so then you learn Shulchan Aruch. To know all the halachas, the will of Hashem, of everything in Torah. Why are you learning the subject? Hilchas Karbanis, Hilchas Tumah V'Tara, all the many halachas in Rambam that are only Bizman Shabbos and Migdash Kayim. That is a proof to the fact that you're learning all of Torah. You're not picking and choosing even the only things that are relevant because you want to connect to the Torah itself on its terms. Right? There's another thing similar to this that the Rebbe brings in other places, that when it comes to a mitzvah has a specific time and place sometimes that it has to be fulfilled. But when it comes to Torah, there's no limitation of time and place. A person wants to learn in the middle of the summer Hilchis Chanukah, Hilchis Sukkah. It's not the time for it. But the limit that Torah is compromised if you're learning it not on its time. I'm learning Hilchis Sukkah today. So it's the same inyan of limit that Torah. When it comes to Torah, it's speaking about the Eibishter's Ratzon and the Eibishter's reality, not applicable in the world. It's speaking about who the Eibishter is and what his Chochmah and Ratzon is about in his reality, nothing to do with any existence.
Beyond time and space.
Yeah, beyond time and space. So the real concept of limit Torah Lishma is when a person is learning Torah, including the subjects that are not relevant. That's the real. A lot of times people ask the question, why are we learning all these subjects in Torah that are not relevant? Why? I hear from Bachar Yeshiva also, we're learning Torah, we're learning Gemara about Shor Shemagachas Para and about this and about that. There's no Shor, there's no Para, why don't we just learn Shulchan Aruch, Halacha L'Maaseh, tell me the do's and the don'ts, how to live as a Jew, and in business, what I have to do to be honest, and chulu, and that's it.
They become a lawyer.
Or to be from a year to daven to learn.
Yeah, same idea, but the same.
Smash the third person.
Yeah, David says all these halachas. It's the same component. Just to know how to interpret it. But over here, you see the point that I was making is when someone learns Torah Leidas Amaisa Sheyasun, it's not the ultimate lishma. It's hard to say that it's not. It's not.
It's because of.
It's not the ultimate lishma. And in the way that Rebbe is putting it over here is the point is, you want to live life. Okay, so you have a choice. You could live life like a prasta guy, or you could live life like a yid. But you are living life, and now you're smart enough to understand that the Torah is going to give you the best life possible. So you want to take the guidance of the Torah how to live life. But ultimately, what's happening is it starts with the person that he's in existence and he's living life and he's utilizing the Torah and applying Torah to his existence in life. That's the reason why it's not the ultimate lishma, because ultimate lishma means that it's all about the Eibishter. That's real lishma. If it's about applying Torah to your life, it's good. I'm using the guidance of Torah for my life, but the premise is that you exist and you have a life, and now you're choosing to apply Torah to your life. That can't be the ultimate lishma. Ultimate lishma is that you don't exist, and the only thing that exists is the Eibishter, Einod Mulvadai, and you learn Torah to connect to the Einod Mulvadai of the Eibishter. That's the only ultimate lishma. Okay, so let's see. The Rebbe puts it. In other words, in order to grasp, the Rebbe puts the word grasp into quotations because grasp usually means limitation. But over here, we're not referring to grasping in the limited sense, but to have a connection, so to speak, to the Eibishter himself. When you learn Torah, that's when you learn Torah Lishmo b'shleimus, and its ultimate level, who dafka yidei yidiyas halachis kol ha-Torah kula. Here the Rebbe adds another point. Not only by learning all of Torah, including the halachas that are not relevant for practice today, but if you want to have it completely, that's only if you learn all halachas of Torah. Why? Why all? Just like the Eibishter himself is one entity, one existence. And of course, that line of Alaka Echadu doesn't mean only one and not two. What it means is that the nature of the Eibishter's existence, as much as you can use the term nature regarding the Eibishter's existence, the nature of the Eibishter's existence is absolute pshittus, oneness. There's no hischalkus, there's no levels in the Eibishter's existence. It's absolute oneness. How they move on, therefore it's understood. Therefore the will of Hashem, and the will of Hashem is one with the Eibishter himself. Of all 630 mitzvahs, it's really all one point, one will. If you're learning Torah, but you don't learn the entire Torah, you're missing the halachas of one mitzvah. That means that what you're lacking in your grasp and your connection to all of the mitzvahs, because all of the mitzvahs are 1 point. If it's 1 point, then if you only have 99% is not, so I have the majority, I have the overwhelming majority. No, if it's something that's made up of parts, if it's made up of different layers, so then you could start from the bottom, you have more external, you go more deeper and deeper, so then you have a certain percent. But if it's one essence, then one essence you can't divide. One essence means either you have it or you don't have it. So if you're learning Torah, you're not learning all of mitzvahs Torah, so then you're not teifus. You don't grasp the Eibishter.
The Eibishter has no other saying
No, Taryag mitzvahs. Well, there's a concept of the Ratzon of the Eibusher regarding creating the world. Right? The Ratzon for creating the world is also a Ratzon of the Eibusher, but it's a completely different kind of Ratzon. The Ratzon regarding creating the world is a Ratzon for another purpose. It's not a Ratzon where this is the an end in itself, right? The Ratzon of Torah and mitzvahs is the Ratzon of the Eibusher, which is called Pnimius Ratzon, where this is what the Eibusher wants, not because it's going to lead to something else.
It's a big chiddush to say this. No?
The what?
You're missing one mitzvah, you're missing the shlemus of all the mitzvahs.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I was
We don't
saying.
usually say that.
There's a ha'ara here we're going to learn in a moment where the Rebbe is going to address this. Not such a simple ha'ara.
As coming from, you do it slowly.
Right, one at a time. Okay, we'll address that in a minute. What the Rebbe is saying here, though, is no, it's either you have it all, or if not, you don't have the shleimus of the connection to the Eibusher, because it's one nekuda. When you have a ratzon that's made up of a value of something, so that value it varies. You can't say that this gold, this silver, this copper, this different. So each metal has its value. You're going to say that if you have a lower grade, so you have zero, I'm zero. I have a certain percent of the value of the metal that I'm looking for. But if I don't have the ultimate, then it's zero. No, but you have something because your ratzon or your value you're looking for is based on a certain nature. But if the value of something is based on an essence of a will that is not based on any value other than the Eibusher himself, so it stems from the Eibusher. This is what he wants. It's all about him. So all the mitzvahs, you can't say, oh, this mitzvah is accomplishing this. That no, the mitzvah is accomplishing nothing. The mitzvah is all one nekuda, the ratzon of Hashem. That's it.
We don't know that that's the total Ratzon of the Eibusher.
The what?
That is the total Ratzon of the Eibusher.
We don't know.
That total Ratzon.
That is the ultimate ratzon of the Eibusher. Torah mitzvahs.
Couldn't be any other.
No.
Could not possibly have any other besides
There are other ritzanis, but the Eibusher was megala to us in Torah what his pnimius ratzon is. Every other ratzon is a ratzon for a certain other purpose. The Eibusher created the world. What's the point of the world? B'shvil Yisrael, b'shvil HaTorah. So any other ratzon that the Eibusher has for everything that's happening in the world, every single moment with Hashgacha Pratis, so why is all of this existing? So that the Eibusher himself will be expressed and revealed in the world. How? Through Torah mitzvah. So Torah mitzvah is the purpose. So that's Pnimius Ratzon.
Why isn't doing part of Pnimius Ratzon?
Why isn't
Doing Maisa part of Pnimius Ratzon?
It is. You mean doing Maisa of a mitzvah?
Yeah.
That's Pnimius Ratzon. It is, sure. When a Yid fulfills a mitzvah, that's the fulfillment of the Pnimius Ratzon of Hashem.
Right, but we're saying that labor, not.
Oh, here the Rebbe is focusing on learning. He's asking why are we focusing on the learning and not the action? Yesh b'zeh Hashem. The action of the mitzvahs has its mila, the learning has its mila. Here the Rebbe is discussing learning. I mean, in Tanya and in other places, it's discussed at length the relative advantages of each one. Action versus learning, learning versus action. The famous discussion of the Gemara, whether Talmud Gadol or Maisa Gadol. It's a discussion for itself. Yeah. And actually says that loss of love, then it'll be Maisa Gadol. But here the Rebbe is discussing Torah, Limud Torah, and the ultimate of Limud Torah Lishma. Okay. Now V'rak al Yidei. So the Rebbe concludes it. V'rak al Yidei Limud v'Yidei Kol HaMitzvahs. When one learns and has the knowledge of all mitzvahs, al Yidei Zeh Dafke Tovsim Ritzeni Yisbarach V'Shleimus. That's when you grasp the Ratzon of the Eibusher completely and ultimately. Okay, because it's one essence. So not a 46, the Rebbe asks the question, take a look. If we're talking about one essence, now the rule is, or the concept is, the Baal Shem Tov said, when you're speaking about an essence of something, so if you have a part of the essence, that's the whole entire essence. So you have the whole thing. So over here the Rebbe is saying the exact opposite point that the Baal Shem Tov said. Because it's an essence, it's indivisible. There's no parts, there's no percent, there's no levels. So you have to have it fully. If you don't have the essence. The Baal Shem Tov said the exact opposite. If it's the essence, so then the essence is in every detail. If you grab onto just one detail, it depends how you look at that deal. It's just like, let's look at it. What is the meaning of this Vart of the Baal Shem Tov? Let's just try to explain it for a second. What does it mean that if you grab a part of the chelek, what's the lashon again? Miktsas. You grab a miktsas, so you have that itself. What does that mean?
The grabbing of the garment. When you grab it.
It's similar. It's not this concept of the Baal Shem Tov. Not this concept. It's a different Indian. But garment, we learned just not long ago, just now in Tanya Perek Mem Gimel. But no, this concept is when you look at let's say a person's body, right, which has different parts, different tevarim, different parts of the person's body. If you grab a hold of a person's hand, the hand of the person could be one of two things. Why are you grabbing hold of his hand? You could grab a hold of his hand because of what the hand is. The hand has a certain function. The hand is a certain part of the body that's specific. Then you're not grabbing hold of the etzem at all. But there's the etzem existence of the person. As far as that is concerned, every part of the person is a part of that etzem. Instead of looking at the prat as just one detail, that detail is really a part of the etzem of the person. So, for example, if you're trying to get someone's attention and you pull him and you're behind him and you can't get his attention, you pull him by his hand. Who are you trying to pull? You're trying to pull his hand. You're trying to pull him. His hand is a part of him. So that's the concept. The etzem kashat. The etzem means this is the very essence of what it is. The essence is in every detail. It depends. You can look at the detail as a detail. You can look at the detail as a part of the essence. So the Baal Shem Tov is saying, from the essence, the perspective of the essence, every detail, when you have a miktsas, that's the essence. So over here, it should apply the same to mitzvahs. If a yid fulfills one mitzvah, you take a yid, didn't do mitzvahs, and chas v'shalom, he did Avedah, so he's doing it. You put him on tefillin, that one mitzvah, he has the connection, etzem, kashatevis, mitzvahs, yatevis, bekula, you have the entire etzem. So how does that fit with the point that Rebbe is saying here, that you have to learn and connect to all taryag mitzvahs? So the Rebbe answers, in short, what it says in Ayin Beis. The Rebbe Rashab says, Harei zehu, the pshat and the vart of the Baal Shem Tov is, k'moshe etzem ba b'is almos. It's the etzem, but it's concealed. It's not revealed. What does that mean? Again, going back to the mashal that I mentioned before, if you grab a hold of the person's hand, from the perspective of the essence, the truth, as far as the essence is concerned, that hand is not a hand. The hand is part of who the person is. So you're trying to get the attention of the person himself. So you pull him by his hand, but it's not the hand. The hand is the person. Yeah, but on the other hand, though, just looking at the hand itself, what are you holding on to? You're touching a hand. So, of course, the truth is that the hand is a part of the etzem, but that's behis almos. The poil, the hand itself that you just grabbed onto, if chas v'shalom, it's amputated from the person's body. What you have over here is just a hand. So, yeah, the vart of the Baal Shem Tov is true, but it's true in the essence of this detail that you're grabbing hold of, but it's not the entire essence that's here, it's present in the hand. When you actually pick up the whole person, or you have all of taryag mitzvahs, here you actually have the entire essence, which is indivisible, which is one nekudah that includes all of taryag mitzvahs.
It's not his pastor. You're saying the whole thing.
Shleimus.
Is etzem.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying? Yes.
If what?
We're not talking, there's not any of his pastures at all.
No,
In the
etzem,
Bible,
the essence.
Pshuta,
Yeah.
that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
So,
But the point that I was saying is you have the etzem the way it is, b'shleimus,
right here.
b'hisgalus. This is the whole essence. If you have all of taryag mitzvahs, you have the essence of the Eibishter in it. When you take out one mitzvah, that mitzvah, the truth is a chelik of the etzem, but you're grabbing hold of one part. So
That's because you're limited. Not because
yeah,
it's
sort of. But the concept, I mean, giving this mashal of grabbing hold of a person's hand, you're holding on to a hand. Is it the etzem or is it not? The pile, what you're doing is you're grabbing onto the hand. So it's the etzem, which is in a prat, in a detail. So it's not begili.
It sounds like the opposite of the story there, with Tzemach Tzedek,
Yeah.
the boy with the Alter Rebbe. Sounds like the opposite.
Again, the story that Tzemach Tzedek with Alter Rebbe about
the boy.
who's the Zayde.
Where's Tati?
Yeah, I think it was the Zayde. He asked him where. Right. Yeah. So that is an example of when you typhus in the hairs of the beard. If you want to look at each individual hair, so it's just a hair. But if it's a part of who the Alter Rebbe is, so that's him. Right? But over there, it's bis almost though. The hairs of the beard is just hairs. That's the point that the Rebbe is saying here in the Ha'ara. Okay, so let's Hashem. Next week we're going to see how all this applies to Limud Rambam. Yeah.
I noticed before you said different. You said the essence, and then you just said essence by itself. Is there chiluk when you're grabbing onto the hand? The Moshe will say you're grabbing onto essence. Well,
No,
as opposed to the Ganze, going to be the essence.
Okay, the ultimate, the revelation, the full expression, it's hard to use the word expression regarding essence, but there's the shleimus of the essence, yeah. Okay,
We only know that that's
Yeah.
the English set, but it says in Torah, we learn.
yeah, correct,
We have no idea if the English has other retainers or not.
correct.
Plays golf.
But that's what the Abishter says.